My name is Eric Smith, and this is an excerpt from my pet project, Stories from Q-Ville. When Ming Sensha woke up, she was in a hospital bed. Her husband, Ming Cho-san, was asleep in a chair next to Sensha. She looked down and saw that there were tubes in her throat and wrist. A bag that hung behind her said that she was on morphine. She didn't really feel too bad, so she tried to rearrange herself. Movement came with pain. Breathing heavy, she tried to think back to what had happened. Sensha remembered being in her blue Mazda Miata driving on the highway. She was coming up to the exit for Glimmer Hotel and Casino. She recalled a dark green station wagon. Did she hit it? She thought that she must have because she remembered a loud crash. What had become of the driver of the station wagon? Why did she hit them? Sensha couldn't recollect. She said, loud enough to arouse Cho-san, "Oi!" Cho-san awoke with a start and smiled when he saw that Sensha was awake. "My dear Sensha." He rose up and kissed her tenderly on the forehead. "What happened, my love?" she asked. "Oh dear," Cho-san replied. "When you were heading to the eastern desert, a car pulled up in front of you. The driver had dropped something in his vehicle and bent to pick it up. He hadn't apparently meant to press the accelerator. You collided." "How is he?" Sensha asked the other driver. Cho-san's face fell. He looked to his knees and said heavily, "Brian Pembroke died, Sensha." Sensha broke down into very painful tears. She had accidentally killed someone. She decided at that moment to never drive again. The next day, Sensha was watching a soap opera called Gandry's Cove. She really appreciated Esmeralda Oppenheimer's portrayal of Gandry, the promiscuous vampire. In this episode, Gandry was having relations with pornographic actor turned soap opera Arthur Mead. When the end credits started rolling, Cho-san walked in. "You have guests, my love." He signaled for someone to walk into the room. A woman with brown hair walked in, accompanied by a teenage boy with black hair and an angry look on his face, and two brown-haired girls. "This is the Pembroke family, Sensha," Cho-san explained. Sensha had a tear rolling down her cheek as she said, "Oh my, I'm so sorry for your loss. I can never pay the debt of a life." "This is Pamela." Cho-san indicated the widow of Brian Pembroke. "Her son, Brian Jr." He indicated the angry-faced teen. "And daughters, Paulette and Janandra." Sensha nodded appreciatively to each in turn. "I'm so sorry. I cannot say it enough. Your loss is too great." "We do not blame you, Sensha," Pamela said reassuringly. "Accidents happen." She didn't seem to have much more to say. A brief quiet was interrupted by Brian Jr. He said, really quickly, like he'd been warned not to, "It's your fault that my dad is dead." He then ran from the room. Pamela looked horrified and apologized to the Mings before running after her son. Paula and Janandra remained in the room. "I'm sorry, girls," Sensha said through a heavy flow of tears streaming down her cheeks. The girls looked down and started to cry. Janandra said, "We don't blame you." Crying heavier now, Sensha asked, "You don't?" Paulette replied this time, pausing to breathe before saying, "No, accidents happen." Janandra paused for breath and said, "Our brother overreacted." Sensha said, "No, he's right. I will never drive again." Cho-san, who had been silently crying behind his hands during this conversation, said, "Are you sure, my dear?" Sensha nodded firmly and said, "Yes."